of the beautiful Terstow in Switzerland. Welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
This week, who is really controlling cycling? And are we just pawns in their game? We'll be looking at who actually holds the most power in our sport.
I'll also bring you an update on my Zwifting, a couple of bits of very cool new tech, and why bike supply delays might get worse before they get better.
Well, there's a happy story to end the intro with.
Yeah, well, you know me, Si, always positive.
That's right. Great you're back.
This week in the world of cycling, we learned that after soggy Bridgewood's hydro bike disaster from last week, here's a clip if you missed it.
3, 2, 1, go! Go! No!
We are only showing it again, so no one feels left out, by the way, if you missed it last week.
Yes, that is the only reason. But now there's a new bike in town, the Arrow Snow E-Trace.
A recumbent skidoo with pedal assist. Yes, please, just what the world has been waiting for. Now, Alex actually checked one out at Eurobike as well, but he stayed dry whilst he did it.
Happy days. We also learned that Team Jumbo-Visma have a new late-season transfer. Step forward, Xander Graham.
Crikey! Pro seems to be getting younger and younger these days, don't they? He's only 12. Might seem a little bit excessive, but still, Xander become an internet superstar after launching a blistering attack on the footpath next to the day's breakaway at the Tour of Britain.
Yes, that was back on Saturday, and once the break eventually managed to catch him up, Pascal Encorn of Jumbo-Visma gifted him his bottle, and then, just when we thought everything couldn't get any better for Xander, he was then invited onto the Jumbo-Visma team bus the following day, gifted a jersey, and then went with the team to the podium in front of the Scottish crowds.
How heartwarming was that?
It was
Genuinely.
brilliant.
A moment where we could all forget about rules and crashes and rivalries and just witness a moment that sums up everything that's great about bike racing. Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant, yeah. And just as well, we can forget the rules because it did actually break one of the UCI's rules on that day, didn't it?
Socks too high? Yeah, I noticed that.
Broke two of the UCI rules in that case.
Riding on the pavement.
Yes, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the UCI, Dan, this week we are, of course, talking about the shadowy world of cycling's elite, the puppet masters pulling the strings and manipulating bike riders around the world. Or so some people might think.
Technology moves on a pace, doesn't it? New bikes pop up in categories that nobody even knew about just before, and perfectly serviceable old tech falls by the wayside as big cycling tries to get more money out of you and I and all of the cycling general public.
That's right. Who made the decisions about disc brake technology, for example? Who controls the global carbon market?
I've got no idea.
Well,
Are we going to answer that? Hopefully. Anyway, it's not just tech, but racing as well, and even urban infrastructure. The powerful cycling lobby waging war on innocent car drivers and making life a living hell of traffic jams just to make room for evil bike riders.
There is a definite sense from some people, isn't it, that there are powers beyond our control who are making decisions about what we do in every walk of life, and that includes bike riding. So we thought we would ask the question, who actually controls cycling?
Well, cycling's a big old sport, isn't it? Should we start with the racing side of things?
We should.
Because there, I guess, it is the UCI who, of course, control the racing. They are our international governing body. But then again, what power do they actually have?
Well, they set the rules down.
There is that. Oh, there are a lot of rules, actually.
Thousands of them, yeah. And they enforce those rules, albeit quite inconsistently at times. And they govern every discipline of competitive cycling, including skateboarding as well.
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure they control skateboarding. Isn't that right? Have I just made that up?
Skateboarding governing body.
No, news just in, the UCI do not control skateboarding.
World Skate, apparently, are the governing body
Yeah,
for
which is
skateboarding.
weird, because you'd think it would be the UCI.
Yeah.
But,
so we also learned today that the UCI doesn't govern every sport that involves wheels.
No, there we go. Anyway, even in terms of professional cycling, competitive cycling, the UCI don't have it all their own way, do they? It's safe to say that the organisers of the Tour de France, the ASO, not exactly quaking in their boots at the meetings they have with the
No,
UCI
I don't think they are. No. Which is unsurprising, really, when you consider that ASO controls around 60% of all World Tour race days each and every season. And I'm not sure that the UCI organised Tour of Huangxi has stolen much of the market share from the Tour de France.
By far the biggest race on the cycling calendar, and above and beyond that, the largest annual professional sporting event in the world. Yeah.
Which you'd imagine gives them much more power over the sport than the UCI, our governing body, not World Skate.
Yeah.
I mean, we have had a couple of occasions over the past few years where there have been power struggles, haven't there, between the UCI and ASO. I think the most recent of those was back in 2017. But it's always felt like the UCI have had to back down in the end. And I would imagine that's because they are acutely aware they don't really have the muscle to win if it becomes a messy legal battle.
That was always my approach to fights.
That was it.
My own personal one.
Back
Yeah,
down.
I couldn't win, so I backed down. You could say then that it's the race organisers who have the most power over the competitive side of the sport, couldn't you? But is that true? Is it actually the teams who've got the most power?
I guess the races are nothing if they don't have the teams and the riders that ride for them, are they? If every World Tour squad, for example, refused to race the Tour de France unless it gave them all some of the TV rights, it wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't be interested in a bunch of riders I'd never heard of doing battle over what are familiar roads of France. It's because of who's doing it.
That's right. On the other hand, teams have rarely even threatened to boycott the Tour de France because for almost every sponsor of those teams, the Tour de France is the biggest return on their investment. So if those big sponsors don't get the exposure of the Tour de France, well, effectively they just pull out, wouldn't they?
They definitely question their investment in sponsoring a pro bike team if they weren't in the Tour de France, wouldn't they? That's how much exposure you get. What about the riders themselves, though? If they're the star, surely they hold the power.
Well, collectively, yeah, they would, wouldn't they? Except, unlike other sports, professional cyclists haven't ever really got their act together and formed a union, a collective, have they? And that's plainly evident at the Tour de France this year when there was a rider protest, but Julien Alaphilippe either didn't get the memo or chose to ignore it until he was pulled into line by Andre Greipel, who could probably pull anyone into line.
Yeah, that was about dangerous. Well, true, yeah, he's got quite big muscles, hasn't he, for a cyclist. And it is a prime example, I guess, because that was over dangerous roads in the opening few days, wasn't it? But Alaphilippe, of course, is French. He's the world champion. He's got the pressure and spotlight on him, and he probably doesn't want to upset French fans or the French organisers. Basically, it all looks like one big mess, really, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, one big mess, or just a fragile ecosystem. UCI, race organisers, teams and riders all have a piece of the power pie, but none of those slices are big enough, are they, to have ultimate say, and they all rely on each other for survival.
Interestingly, the one part that we've missed from all of that are cycling fans, isn't it? We're not mentioning them at all yet. Fans don't have a stake in racing.
No, I don't think they do they? No voice at all. But, as we said earlier, racing is just a small part of cycling as a whole. And in terms of cycling tech and infrastructure, we do, fans, cyclists, we do have a stake. And I'd argue it's the controlling stake, in fact.
Now, in terms of tech, we vote with our money and our wallets, don't we? Bike brands are businesses that want to make money as well as making bikes, components or accessories. So it should be no surprise that they want you to buy their stuff.
Yeah, exactly. However, in order to get us to do that, buy their stuff, their products need to be good, they need to be good value, and what also really helps is to be innovative.
That does always help, yeah. And that search for innovation definitely means that we get quite a rapid evolution sometimes in terms of tech. But is it part of a carefully orchestrated plan to get us to part with more cash? No,
I don't think so. And I think we saw that from that salsa video we did about who to blame for gravel. It came from a small group of people who wanted to make a different type of bike for the riding that they were doing. And I think that's true from most innovations that I can think of. Bike brands tend to be staffed by people that love riding bikes. Even the biggest ones, it's exactly that.
Even here, most people love riding bikes. I'm just the anomaly. Anyway, I'm back on the bike on Zwift, more on that later on. But even the biggest brands like Shimano and Giant, they haven't got the kind of power to push products that we don't actually want to ride. There's always another company waiting in the wings and pushing them effectively.
Yeah, which is why what products you buy matters. The bike industry makes what they think we might want based on what they want or what pro cyclists want. However, if they don't get it right, those products just go away. When they gambled on fat bikes being the next big thing, and no one bought them, they went back to being a niche products. Great for riding on snow and sand.
But not much else.
Exactly,
yeah. Gravel bikes, I guess, could have gone the way of fat bikes, couldn't they? But they didn't, and the reason for that is because they're actually great and not quite a niche product. And even the UCI got pressured into changing their rules about disc brakes, didn't they? Rules that have had a significant influence on the preceding 10 years, but don't anymore.
No, that's right. Now, you might not like disc brakes, you might not like gravel bikes, but what is important to note, though, is that just because something is popular doesn't mean that you have to like it.
No, you don't have to like me, for example.
Good point. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to like something that's unpopular either.
That is not what I meant. That was not the joke.
Sorry, yeah. But just because you don't like something doesn't mean that everyone else is wrong. Now, it's true with gravel bikes, it's true with electronic group sets, it's true with disc brakes. And that's also a case in point when it comes to cycling infrastructure.
It feels like we're just not that good at disagreeing with other people anymore, doesn't it?
We're
getting what you want.
Yes,
but getting what you want isn't democracy, is it? Getting what the majority wants is.
Yeah, which is why it's so important, not just to make your voice heard, but to just say something in the first place. And no, that doesn't just mean on Twitter, but old school, getting in touch directly with the people making the decisions at local level and at national level too.
And if you don't get more bike paths, it's probably just a cynical ploy by big oil to get more people into cars.
Precisely. Now, make sure you let us know in the comment section what you think about all of this. Have we missed a shadowy, powerful clique of something or others that is in fact choosing everything that we say and do in terms of cycling? Or is it, as we've said, just a mess, an ecosystem?
And who do you think are the most powerful people in cycling? Don't say Andre Greipel. Next up, GCN Inspiration. We picked out 3 of our favourite photos that you lot have uploaded to the GCN app over the last week. Don't forget to get involved for next week's show. In third place this week, receiving GCN striped socks and a GCN Word logo t-shirt in black and gold is Rhino AB.
Look at that photo. I cycle around the high water reservoir in Hong Kong most mornings at 5. This is one of the last sunrises before it'll be in darkness. That's
I'll go
cool,
at 5:30 next week.
You are?
Marry it up with the sunrise. I mean, I'm presuming he's getting to work and he has to leave at 5 o'clock.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? If you could just, catch the sunrise every day.
Well, there is a
Progressively
theme
get to work later and
of
later.
sunrises and inspiration this week because in second place is this one from TDXN. You will receive a GCN Epic Climbs t-shirt, Cyclespiracy edition and GCN striped sweatshirt.
Sorry, I was too busy thinking about Cyclespiracy. We'll be there soon, won't we, mate?
You started daydreaming about sun.
Literally, I was just daydreaming about Cyclespiracy right there.
Is that why you've put loads of sunny pictures in this week?
Well, this is kind of sunny/hazy, isn't it?
Well,
But very
true,
cool.
yes. They've put, when you are fitting your training around work life and family life, it pays to sacrifice a little sleep for the reward. Sometimes you have to pull over and admire the view.
There we go. Although, don't admire it for too long, because if you're squeezing your training in, you've just missed valuable time there.
Yes, but worth it with the
Yeah.
prizes that are going to be delivered to you very shortly indeed.
How cool are those hay bales stacked, by the way?
I
Just
know, they
wondering,
look massive.
People from other countries might be wondering what on earth is going on in that British field, but there you go, stacks of hay bales.
I've never seen such high hay bales. Look at the ones in the distance there. Blimey, it's like Stonehenge. Right, top prize this week is a GCN Red Core baseball cap plus a GCN Core red hoodie and a GCN Epic Climbs t-shirt. The outdoors one. We're not
going to
there,
daydream
Si.
there. Not
No.
daydream.
And a GCN mug. Blimey, prizes get bigger and better every week, don't they? The winner of all of that is W. Bissy.
There we go. Day 1 of the Hebridean Way. 5:30 a.m. starts.
Oh, everyone's up early, aren't they?
They are, yeah. To catch the 7 a.m. ferry to Eriskay. Descending through the mist towards the sunrise was an incredible experience. And that does look absolutely magical, doesn't it?
Wow, it does.
You know what? I'm going to set my alarm a little bit earlier. I'm struggling to get up at the moment. And so I think I'm going to do it. We're going to, because it doesn't have to be that early, does it, at the moment? The sun's coming up
Well,
at
yeah,
like 6.
I tend to do sunrise rides in the middle of winter when it gets light at about 10 to 8. It's a bit easier.
Yeah, but that is cool. That is absolutely
No,
wicked.
I must make the effort as well. In fact, I'm going to promise to myself I'm going to do a ride in the sunrise
Really?
in a few weeks' time.
On Zwift? Because then the sun comes up
Yeah.
and down quite quickly.
Yeah. No, an actual one. I'll send in a picture and see if I can win all those prizes. Yeah, don't forget to get involved, ready for next week's show where 3 more prizes will be on offer. More than that, actually, but 3 people will win them.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and let's start with a little update about Dan's Zwift Academy.
Well, it's actually quite a long update,
Oh, is it?
Si, but the first update is that 6 days after that baseline test, I have almost recovered, believe it or not. And for those of you who didn't see that initial video, what I had to do were 3 time segments to put down as markers so that I can see how much I've improved by, hopefully, at the end of the academy. And the results actually were, they were all right, Si, until the last segment where I faded rather dramatically, almost to black, both figuratively and literally. And for those of you who commented under that video that I was sandbagging that last one, I can promise you I wasn't. I reckon you can kind of wing it when you're unfit for a couple of efforts, but for that third and final one, I really paid for the first two, big star.
Anyway, how are you whooping, speaking of recovery?
Well, there was no whooping going on at all in that initial one. I'll be doing that in a few weeks, hopefully, with the fitness test results.
Your whoop score, how's your whoop score?
Oh, I see. Well, having also ridden with you the following day and had to do 250 watts for 20 minutes, I was down to 25% recovery, but I am now back up over 70 and raring to go. Although I'm also raring to get that new Whoop strap that's just been launched, 4.0, I think it's called, is it?
Indeed, yeah. And my word, it's got some fancy new tech in there too. As well as being smaller and with a different waterproof charger, Whoop have increased the amount of measuring devices in it so that the data displayed in the app now also includes blood oxygen levels and skin temperature, both useful for a variety of reasons. Perhaps most importantly, helping you to answer the age-old question, are you well enough to train today?
No, I'd imagine would be the answer for me most of the time. There's also something on there called a haptic alarm I was reading about earlier, and that helps you to wake up by emitting light vibrations, apparently.
What even are those?
Yeah, although don't worry, I will still be wearing it on my wrist. Now, Whoop say that if you've got a version 3 of their product and have over 6 months on your membership, they'll send you a 4.0 for free. If you've got less than 6 months left, they'll send you the new one when you extend your membership.
Cool, nice one. Right, sticking with futuristic tech, this one is right up there. A smart helmet, oh yeah, with built-in augmented reality glasses and loaded with AI. Apparently. Now we spotted it on Yanko Design. It's the brainchild of the Thinkable Studio.
I think this looks terrifying, if I'm honest, like something out of the Terminator. Imagine having all those secondary images flashing in front of your face whilst you're trying to ride forwards.
Yeah, too much for your old eyes to deal with, mate, isn't it?
I think it might
be. For the computer game generation. The concept, though, is that it adds a few extra pairs of eyes and also an additional brain to help keep you aware of any potential hazards. But I've got to say, it does seem like a far cry from what we'd actually want from city cycling, isn't it?
True. You can imagine those on the bike paths of Amsterdam, though, can't you? City planners, listen up. Stop giving tech companies a reason to dream up weird stuff like this and just give us bike paths instead.
Basically, yes, that would help, wouldn't it? Right, next up, another pro roadie is swapping tarmac for gravel. Trek Segafredo's Kjell Reinen is heading to dirt, having been a key member of their classic squad for the last 5 years or so.
And how good is it for him or anyone else looking to end their careers this year that Paris-Roubaix comes at the end of the year?
Yeah.
First edition for 2.5 years. Another rider that hopefully will be doing that if he recovers from his recent injury is Mitch Docker, looking to cap a great career with one final blast on the pavé.
Yeah, just a shame that Roubaix on a Sunday night is probably one of the worst places in Europe for a retirement party. Although it's only a short hop, shall I say, across the border to get some amazing Belgian beers. An interest you both share, in fact. Now, Kjell is going to get to race for himself again when he's on gravel rather than in a domestique role, but he might also find himself pushed a little harder by the weird world of gravel and ultra endurance, you think?
Yes, like this chap, Jack Thompson. Whilst Lachlan Morton grabbed the headlines of his out tour this summer, Jack was attempting to ride the route of the tour, but his target was to do it in just 10 days. And he managed it. Wahoo have released a documentary of his adventure over on their YouTube channel if you fancy watching it there.
If you're in the mood for some adventure documentaries though, do make sure you head over to GCN Plus, of course, as well. Last week we had the incredible Lael Wilcox as she attempted her fastest known time on the Oregon Trail. This week was kind of adventure, but urban adventure. We're heading to London for the latest of our Heartlands films, where a local takes you deep inside the cycling culture, which in a city like London is pretty freaking cool.
It is, isn't it? Here's a clip, actually, of Alec Briggs riding from the city into the luscious Epping Forest.
Go for it.
Right, some more tech for you now, and Selle Italia have just launched a new model, the X Green Comfort Plus Superflow. And I actually just recently read a glowing review from James Huang of Cycling Tips on the first X Green saddle, which is a more ecologically friendly saddle, as well as by all accounts being a comfy one. But this new one has even more padding, as the name suggests, for a more leisure-oriented or endurance-minded rider.
So leisure-oriented, you're in for that. Endurance-minded, no. I don't think you qualify anymore. Anyway, grab it while you can, I think. It seems to be the mantra for cyclists everywhere at the moment. Pink Bike were reporting just earlier this week, in fact, about the latest crisis for the bike industry supply chain because of the worsening of the COVID-19 pandemic in Vietnam, a country that has quietly been increasing its carbon fibre production.
Yeah. I didn't know that either, but apparently brands like Specialized have bikes built out there quite often, but not at the moment because that strict lockdown has temporarily ceased all production by the sounds of that article.
Yeah, so look after what you got. Go and give those abused and forgotten bearings a little bit of love. You know, I serviced a pair of jockey wheels on my cyclocross bike.
No, that hasn't come up in conversation.
Funny that, isn't it? Anyway, they've been ticking along, spinning freely all summer. So that was 10 minutes well spent, I think you'll agree.
Well, speaking of worthy pursuit, how cool is this? Moving away from his IT job, Ross Bradley from Portland, Oregon, is now devoting himself full-time to cleaning up the city's pathways, collecting rubbish in a trailer towed behind his bike.
That is so cool. He's spending 4 or 5 hours a day, several days a week, cleaning up some epically rubbish-strewn streets, which is just awesome, isn't it? So Ross, we salute you.
Well done, Ross. Head over to his Instagram account, PDX Remove by Bike, to give him a bit of love. We need more Rosses in this world, don't we? And actually, as well as getting an amazing sense of satisfaction from looking at his Instagram, it seems like he also now gets free food from the Laughing Planet Cafe, so props to them as well.
Absolutely. I think that's super cool, isn't it? Anyway, lastly, we have got some competition winners for you now. We had an incredible number of entrants to the Ruby competition from a couple of weeks ago, and the 5 people who will receive a GCN Club subscription are
Jason Titley, Lewis Beck, Nazneen Eunice, Kwara Matsushita, Thomas Triplan. Oh, that's it, that's 5.
There we go. You nailed those.
That was tough, no wonder you gave it to me. But anyway, well done to all of you, even though I've mispronounced your names, I'm sure. And well done to all of you who took part in the Ruby Challenges as well, taking on the world to climbs and indeed comparing yourselves to Connor, Hank and Manon's times up those same climbs. Hack / Bodge of the week now, and we'll start with this one from Tokyo Kuri. Eco bike stand. Step 1, securely place the bike in the bike stand. Step 2, get to work. Now, where should we start? Looks like step 1 was achieved quite some years ago. Zoom in to see how firm the grip is.
Wow.
Is it growing around a tree, is it?
It has indeed, that's amazing.
Or a tree growing around it, shall I say.
Ah, yeah, I like that. That's nature reclaiming, actually not reclaiming a bike, claiming a bike for the very first time.
The bit that's grown around the brakes there looks like a face, doesn't it? Nose,
yeah, it does, it's being
mouth.
eaten. Maybe that's like a new species of tree that we've never, that eats metallic objects.
I don't know whether to deem this a hack or a bodge. I'm going to go bodge.
Yeah, but it's a cool photo though.
It is a cool photo.
Thank you very much for sending that one in. 80% of you lots thought that was a bodge, and fair enough as well, I guess. Right then, next up we've got this from 6.3 Point Mark RH. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Anyway, pannier problems. Our Hebrides bikepacking holiday nearly came undone when a pannier rack collapsed. Whilst I stood around watching the army rousing about in helicopters, quick thinking by my son Greg saw a mini pump's aluminium shaft repurposed as a temporary support to be held in place by zip ties, which is okay in this instance because it's a temporary fix. So I'm going to say hack there because that looks like a brilliant and ingenious use.
All right, I'll go hack as well on that one.
That's like a proper roadside hack, isn't it?
Yeah.
So a reason why zip ties should live in your saddlebag, but nowhere else.
Right. Yes. Sai has spoken, everybody. Although we're in the minority, 46% of people went with hack, but 54% went with bodge.
Maybe that's because they didn't trim the end of the zip ties, because that's going to be catching his ankles.
Yeah, I did think that myself, but maybe along with the zip ties and the saddlebag, there weren't any scissors, or nail clippers, or pliers.
Would you take a penknife bikepacking? I would. Anyway, should we move on?
Well, before we move on, I noticed you conveniently skipped past the place name in the Outer Hebrides just a few moments ago. I will as well. Next up, this from I have absolutely no idea who
No,
it's from.
sorry, that was my bad.
Yeah. This is a very poor screen grab.
Don't worry, I'll find it.
If you find it, I'll read out what the hack or bodge is.
Let me just get rid of the UCI skateboard.
Over the door.
Google
World
search.
Skate. Over the door bottle storage. I have accumulated far too many pretentious beadles.
Stethoscopes. There we go.
Oh, it's from stethoscopes.
No, stethoscopes.
Stethoscopes, okay. Shakers and water bottles to fit in my cupboard. I've now stashed them in an over-the-door hanging shoe storage unit. Pockets are mesh so they can dry. This is not the entire collection. Not bad for a family of 2. GCN bottles in prime position, obviously.
There you go. That is very cool.
It's a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that hack.
I'm going to go for hack for that as well.
84% of you lot agree.
Well, that is pretty unanimous, but not as unanimous as the next one without wanting to give it away.
From E. Scott's Howl, no mess sealant. No mess administration of tube sealant via a closed push-pull system. Just use the stopcock to withdraw sealant from the bottle/shot glass, then turn the stopcock and squirt into your rim. That is genius.
I knew you'd like that one, Si.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, Si's going to be quite excited about that.
I mean, admittedly, I've got my tubeless sealant craft down to a fine art these days. Yeah, so personally, I just sort of tip the wheel back up again, and then I squeeze any little bit of remaining sealant back from the tube into the bottle, so you don't waste a drop. But that looks way more high tech, so I'm into that. Yeah, well, 89% of you lot said that was a hack. That's good.
Strep Finger is the last one this week. How do you carry your lock? Had this brilliant idea while coming back from work today. Used to have it around my top tube, but it always got in the way. Scratched it all the time and was altogether a hassle. Don't mind that I've ridden with it there on the top tube for the last 4 years and thousands of kilometres around the city, but I reckon this fashion statement will stay with me for quite some time.
Wow. I would wear mine around there, but my arm's too big. So it just wouldn't fit. You could wear yours around your thighs, Dan. They're so muscly.
Yeah, I mean, most parts of my body you could fit that around without going into too many graphic details. That's a bodge.
Yeah, no, I think that's a bodge for me as well. I tend to think bags are really good ways of carrying locks, personally. But
well, yeah, I mean,
each their own.
It depends on the bike, I guess, doesn't it? But either way, that is a big bodge. Yeah. We could probably, in all fairness, fit it around your waist, couldn't you? So you've got quite a... I know what you mean. You couldn't get it around your ankles.
No. But then if it was wrapped around my ankles, I'd probably fall over. And I wouldn't be able to cycle.
I mean both. I mean, it wouldn't fit around one.
Oh, I see. Right.
Well, if it did, you could use it as like a, one of those jean straps to stop your trousers getting caught in the chain.
Good point. Very good point. Now, I'm not going to do that. Anyway.
We made a promise to each other at the start of this show that we weren't going to spend long on hacks and bodges, didn't we?
Well, when there's interesting things to discuss, like where to wrap your lock around, then yeah.
Right, well, let's wrap it up and remind people to go over to the GCN app and upload your hacks and bodges ready for 2 weeks' time and get voting on next week's now.
It's now time for Caption Competition, that part of the show where you get a chance to get your hands on a coveted GCN Elite water bottle. All you got to do is put a witty caption in the comment section down below that relates to a photo we're about to give you. We'll start, though, with the results, as always, from last week, where this was your photo, Matteo Trentin, saying hello to the camera.
The person that didn't win, because he's now ineligible, having accumulated about 83 GCN water bottles over the last few years, is Tim Bishop, who put Matteo on a scale of 1 to 10. How do you score size caption of your photo? Very good, but the actual winner along similar lines is Lizzie Bauer. How many GCN presenters did it take to come up with a bad caption? Well, he did that, didn't he?
Yeah.
On the photo. To which Will44Bot replied, I think Si did a pretty bad job all by himself. But yes, well done, Lizzie. Get in touch with us on Facebook with your address. We'll get a bottle out to you. Yeah,
and Tim, by the way, Tim Bishop, if you need to know how to store all your GCN water bottles, just check out Hack or Bodge.
Yeah, Stethoscopes.
Stethoscopes, there we go. Right then, this is your photo for this week. This is Sonny Colbrelli in a headlock.
Yes, this is after winning the European Championships on Sunday. I will get you started. Chin up, Sonny Jim. You just won. I think Sonny Jim is quite an English term, isn't it?
Probably.
My dad always used to call me Sonny Jim, but yeah, I'm not quite sure what that coach or maybe just spectator is doing to Sonny there, but I'm sure he didn't mind because he just won a gold medal.
Yeah. You know, I think there's a link between how strong a caption is and how much chat there is afterwards to sort of explain
Well,
it.
Christ, this could go on for quite some time today then.
It could, yeah. So we'll leave it there. It's good that you're back, Dan. Thanks for your entry.
Do your best. Shortly, what's coming up on GCN, but first up, our favourite comments from the last week. A few belters underneath Mal and Jenny's bikepacking trip in Scotland, including this one from Peter Knight, who put massive props to the railway company for laying on the bike-friendly carriage. It's always been really difficult to take bikes on trains, so people end up not doing it. The key to getting people on bikes is to make it pleasant and convenient.
True that. Very true. And it is super cool. I don't know if you saw it. There were spaces for 20 bikes.
Yes, amazing.
Yeah, super cool. Right, Sean O'Leary said, genuinely baffled how a Welsh woman is so bothered by rain.
Yeah.
That's a good point. It might be like, I don't know, like PTSD after her childhood growing up in West Wales. Maybe it's like, you know, just takes her back to those days of, you know, just relentless rain.
Might well do.
Yeah. Or it might be that she's got really soft, having become a professional track rider.
Well, yes, a lot of time indoors, and of course it never rains in Bath now, so she's not used to that anymore.
Exactly.
Graham P, more man on bike packing, please. Delightfully hilarious. Maybe we could grill it.
I tell you what, as well, there were a huge amount of "We love Jenny Graham" comments as well, weren't there? Because Jenny is basically amazing. So yeah. There we go, that was a cool video. If you've not seen it yet, make sure you check it out. Right, so we'll seamlessly move on to Dan.
Yes,
Zwifting.
we've picked out quite a lot of comments from my Zwift ride to read out right now.
Yeah, well, we're going to start with a good one. I miss seeing Lloydie on a bicycle, I must say. Solid effort. That was from James Brown, to which I quite like this reply from NK. He's replying to, I agreed, I missed Lloydie out on the road doing GCN vids. The reply is, especially back when it wasn't a bunch of kids who don't respect him.
I don't think he's including you in that bunch of kids, Si.
Oh.
I think, you know, most people think we're exactly the same age.
Well, you know, we're not.
They are referring to Connor, Hank, Alex, maybe Ollie. Don't know, he looks quite old, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely man on. But anyway, yes, there we go. Agreed. I thought it was great to see Dan back on a bicycle. Dietnam, can we all appreciate how Dan's hair stayed immaculately in place throughout his baseline ride? Presumably, Dan, that was a calculated effort to impress Alpecin Phoenix. So to help you get that contract.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes down to it, and I am of equal power to the other most talented person taking part in the Zwift Academy, it will come down to the hair, you presume, as an advert for Alpecin. So,
totally.
I mean, I'll be nailed on, I'd have thought.
Absolutely. At the finish line,
my hair.
Remove your helmet, and it's just immaculately coiffed and caffeinated.
Yeah, sponsor's dream, basically.
Okay.
Just give me a contract now.
That's what Selle test team said, doesn't it? Back in the day. Well, we got him because he's a sponsor's dream. Not for the results.
Yeah, imagine if he gets into a brand new cycling YouTube channel after he's been with our team and consistently mentions it every week for 8.5 years. I mean, that would be an enormous return on our quite small investment.
Someone somewhere is congratulating themselves on a great signing. Anyway, Samuel said another genuine comment here. Dan, this is genuinely amazing to see. I don't know why, but it seems to humanise you more and make you more relatable and likeable.
It's hard to imagine me.
Don't snigger. That was a nice thing. Even more relatable and likeable. Not just like makes you like actually kind of.
Well, it doesn't say even more. It just says make you more likeable.
No, it doesn't. Anyway, serious kudos for you doing it and letting us see the warts and all progress. So there we go.
Wow.
Get out, strong, commit.
I will continue to update you all as I progress through the Zwift Academy with the first sessions here on the GCN Show. And talking of the GCN Show, last week you were solo, weren't you?
Yeah.
I'd like to say it bombed, but it did a lot of views.
That's because they didn't know I was solo when they clicked on it, Dan.
Yeah, retention's rubbish.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Apparently,
but,
yeah. Anyway, no, actually it's really good. I was a bit annoyed. But Charlie Simar, talking about the e-bike, said, I rode a bike almost all my life up to the last few years. At 73, although in good shape for my age, I don't have the energy to get where I need to go on a regular bike, although I would love to. My e-bike is my commuter vehicle, except for large or heavy load or out of range destinations. I play a game with myself to see how long I can go between fill-ups. Last round was 3 months.
Wow.
This round is looking good as well. Well done, Charlie. And we had so many comments along the same lines from people that have really utilised electronic bikes to their benefit.
Electronic bikes?
Yes, I don't know why I said that. Presumably that's what it's short for, is it?
No. I mean, I guess that might be something that older people say.
I shall ask someone and check my electronic mail to find out. And then Alistair McKinley, I very much enjoyed Cy on his own. No awkward looking at the camera when talking to the other presenter like some do, plus Cy kept up the tempo and energy throughout.
Well, thank you very much, Alistair. That's very kind of you.
Yeah, there were other more positive comments as well, but I left them out. Right, what's coming up on the channel? Well, on Wednesday, as
there must have been something about my hair, surely.
What happened to your hair?
Well, presumably it looked immaculately coiffed, like yours when you were Zwifting. No, okay.
On Wednesday is Zwift in an hour. So if you've got an hour to spare and you're going on Zwift and you haven't got a clue what might be best to use that hour for, there are quite a few options, but we're going to nail them down into a few so you can pick from them and make the most of the time that you've got. Thursday is, of course, the tech show, and on Friday, we're trying to cheat the wind, aren't we? How fast can we go? Say we, I've nothing to do about. How far can another presenter go with a stonking tailwind?
Interesting.
Or fast, should I say, rather than far?
Yeah, how fast? Saturday, Hank went inside a team car at the Tour of Britain. I can only imagine what took place in that team car. I hope everyone survived, but anyway. And then on Sunday, Connor has just completed a 72-hour unsupported bikepacking trip. He has survived, but again, we don't know what's happened. So that was down through Southwest Ireland, which is famously stunning. So
he took a frying pan with him as well, didn't he?
He did what, sorry?
Took a frying pan with him.
He did, dangling off the back of his bikepacking bags, which seems weird. But
well,
maybe
I'm
it's
sure
lonely.
all will be explained in the video.
Yeah, self-supported, but the sort of tinkling and banging noise kept him company for 72 hours.
Kept him awake, kept him going through 72 hours.
Yeah.
Right, also on Monday we've got the Racing News Show, of course, so I'll be wrapping up what is a very busy week of bike racing. The World Championships actually starts on Sunday in Flanders with the men's individual time trial. Before that, we had the 5-day Tour of Slovakia, the 5-day Tour of Luxembourg, loads of one-day races, 2 in Italy, Toscana and Sabatini, the Eschborn Frankfurt on Saturday, and 1 or 2 more one-day races that I've forgotten about, even though it's my job to remember them. Busy week of racing though. I'll be back with the Racing News Show on Monday.
And you're still going to find time to Zwift in the middle of an afternoon on a work day?
Yes.
How do you do it?
I don't know.
Remarkable.
I mean, I am a remarkable person. Sometimes I surprise myself.
Yes. Yeah, that's what happens when we send emails to Dan and nothing happens.
Electronic mails?
Well, he must be Zwifting. Anyway, there we go. I think that's it, isn't it, probably?
Yeah, we can wrap things up now. You'll all be pleased, I'm sure, that there's 2 of us this week. Come on, let us know in the comments below.
And that's why the GCN show has been 45 minutes instead of your usual 30.
Yes. Good luck to the editor.